Hey folks, this is Ray from DCRainmaker.com. Today we've got something a little bit different, mostly because it's interesting to me. So my blog, my channel is always about things that are interesting to me and kind of random stuff sometimes. Sports technology, but just technology in general. So last year at CES back in January 2016 here, there was a company called Mevo at the time, and they've since renamed to Mevo. They're owned by Livestream, which is a big online streaming company that streams basically everything that's not on YouTube or now on Facebook Live. And they had this camera, and the camera basically is a 4K camera that allows you to live stream something with just a single iOS app that controls basically different camera angles. So you imagine a big screen or a big image, and you can then take a snippet out of it and say, you know, here's one person that's going to track that person's face or another person, and you can go back and forth and basically have one camera that can cut to angles within that. So it looked cool to me, and I actually went ahead and pre-ordered it way back in January. And then they just started shipping this past week. So I pre-ordered the Mevo plus the Boost. The Boost goes right here, but it's missing because they haven't received the certifications yet. So I haven't got that yet. But they did send along the mic stand, which I guess they included as well back when I pre-ordered. It was kind of like a combo deal. They threw that in for fun. So I'm going to do a bit of an unboxing and then kind of a short overview of what it is. Again, this is more for me and interesting than anything else. It's something that I think could be kind of cool to do, like a Q&A session, live Q&A from the DC Arcade with sports tech gadgets, maybe on a every once in a while, weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, bi-whenever basis. So that's kind of my thinking. So first we'll unbox the big mic stand, and then I'll move the camera around and you can see me unbox this thing, and then I'll kind of walk through a little bit of how it works. So move that out of the way. This is just a pretty generic mic stand, not something branded by Mevo or Livestream. So we go ahead and crack it open here, and you see there is the stand. So we got a little single piece of paper inside of it that just tells you the product has been packed and checked by G. Schwab. So whoever G. Schwab is, you're now sort of not really famous. Then we got the mic stand itself, standard attachment there at the top, pulls out. Pretty darn sturdy, it's not going anywhere. So shrink this down obviously, and now you're kind of above the picture frame, but that's all right. So this goes up, there we go, a little bit of cable management there, and it go down, and I can loosen this and probably go up and down even more. So that is the mic stand, exciting. Now, let's get to the fun stuff, the camera itself. Now I point out this would be a great time where I could use Mevo to zoom in on this, but I just have a DSLR camera sitting there, so I'm actually going to move the camera up so you can see what I'm doing nice and close. Okay, now that we've got things all set up ready to go, here is the box itself. So you can see live streaming, Facebook Live. It doesn't stream to YouTube. It's something they've kind of talked about a bit. They've sort of like skirted around it. Obviously, like Facebook Live and YouTube compete with Livestream. I hope they do YouTube at some point. At some point, they need to recognize that they're selling hardware, and you know that's what people are buying. If they don't go to YouTube, then honestly, people are going to go somewhere else. So it's sort of their choice. On the back, there's specs. It's included in the box. It says there's a Mevo camera, the Mevo mount, a 16 gig micro SD card, power adapter, and a 10-foot USB cable. And on the side, there's a pretty picture explaining how to do pinch to zoom, tap to cut, drag to pin, or pan, all stuff that we'll probably go over in the actual unit itself. So let's see if I can break this plastic. There we go. Didn't even need my keys. Move that off the side, and then again, we'll go ahead and see if there's a cleaner way to open this up. There we go. So there is no app for Android. It's just for iOS right now. So that's that. I should also mention that, so it's funny, I bought one of these back in January, where I ordered one then, this whole kit, and then they contacted me last week to see if I want to do a review on one, which is funny because I already had bought one. So then they sent me another one to try out, which is, I guess this one came first. My other one arrived yesterday or today in the US, still hasn't been arrived here yet, or hasn't come here yet. So I'll have two of them. So I'm curious to see. I don't believe they work together yet, but in theory I could use two different cameras, which would be really cool. So I may try that at some point before sending back the review unit to them, but just as an FYI. So there's the box. Here is the inside Mevo box. It's got that nice silver kind of engraving there of sorts, and we'll open it up. And inside, you can see it's what same shell frame as that, and there it is. So the camera is really small. It's actually way smaller than I envisioned it would be. Even though I saw it in person at CES, I didn't expect it to be this small, or didn't remember it being this small. I guess that was 7 months ago now. It was supposed to ship a number of months ago. So I can't seem to pull anything else out of that, so I think that's that on that piece. Inside we then have the quick start guide. Put that there. And then we have, looks like 1, 2, 3 boxes of stuff. Success. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, there we go. And this, there is my little picture for the thumbnail profile. Okay, so let's this one first. This looks like a standard USB adapter. I don't see no other like international adapters in there. That's fine. They haven't officially started shipping internationally anyway, so I'm not really concerned about that. And realistically, you can buy an adapter for this for like $1 anyways, or €1 or whatever your currency is. This is typical 100 to 240, 2 amps by the way, in case you're wondering. In here we have, I think this kind of stand attachment piece. Nope, it's actually the cable. So this is the 3 meter, roughly 10 foot USB cable. It's pretty darn thick actually. So this is nice if you wanted to route it somewhere further away. That way you don't have to worry about having a typical like 1 foot USB cable. And then it's just SanDisk micro SD adapter. It looks like the micro SD card is already right there. We'll get to that in a second though. And then next we've got, looks like this is the microphone stand adapter. There's nothing else I don't think in this. Yep, so that's good for that. So this will then attach to the microphone stand. Looks like I take off this piece here, and there we go. So if I grab that microphone stand out of the way with hopefully not hitting the camera tripod. Okay, so I think you might be able to see that. If not, I'm sorry. So it looks like this, then we'll just... that is the tripod. That's a tripod adapter, so I should read that little sticker again. So the sticker says right here that in order to get the tripod adapter out to get in the microphone stand, I've got to swap this. So I grab my keys, and there we go. See, that's why you read the sticker. Takes the fun out of it, though. I'm 99% sure I will lose this piece. So there we go. And now this should go right onto the microphone stand. Come on. Maybe? There we go. Success. So it's now on the microphone stand right there in place. So let me just make sure you can still see that. You can, but I will move down slightly. Okay. So now I know you can see it right there. So let's look at the camera itself. So we'll take the plastic doohickey off. So the camera has a micro USB plug on the back, obviously for powering it here. And then it's got the attachment that goes into this. But it also then goes into the Mevo Boost, which is basically the battery piece there. The Mevo Boost, I believe, also allows you to connect to LTE with that as well, so you can go direct off of that. On the back here, we've got our micro USB right there, so you can put that or not micro USB, sorry, micro SD card. So you can go ahead and get a bigger one if you want. This is 16 gigs. Now keep in mind the unit records only basically the cropped footage. So it's sort of a little deceiving because they talk about 4K footage in a lot of places or 4K capability. You see Sony 4K sensor, but here's the thing: you don't get 4K or anywhere near there. You get 720p, which kind of sort of sucks a little bit. It's really a bit of a bummer that you couldn't do, say, for example, 1080p snippets out of this instead. So it takes that 4K picture and then takes a 720p, etc. chunk out of it. So that's that. Overall, this feels pretty good. I'm reasonably impressed. I don't think, actually I put a charge on it. So you can see the battery there powers up if I hold the power button down. And I'll go ahead and get the app signed up or app installed. So I'm gonna go put this in here for right now. There is a lock right there. So this way you can see now that that's actually locked. There we go. Oops. Duh. Okay, so now it's pretty well locked on there. It's not going anywhere. Not concerned about that. And then the micro USB port is still available there. So this is supposed to show me signal strength to Wi-Fi. It's going to connect to Wi-Fi to then connect onwards to the interwebs. And that's my battery is green. So pretty cool. I'll give them credit. It's actually well designed, and I like the fact that it comes with that tripod/mic adapter, so I can go either way on that. I just got to remember not to lose this. Oh, and then the quick start guide. 1, plug the camera in. 2, download the app at getmevo.com/app. Tap the button on top. I did that. And then open the app to get started. So let me go ahead and get the app opened up, and we'll keep on going. Give me 2 seconds to get that installed. Okay, so at this point I've got the app all installed, so I'll give you a quick walkthrough how it works. Now I installed the app, and I did this once already, but then my camera ran out of storage space again. So I want to go ahead and just kind of walk through this. The only thing I did differently there is I'd simply connected to the Mevo, and I'd update the firmware, which took about 2 minutes, but I'm back at the exact same page as before. So in this case, I will go to Wi-Fi settings because it wants me to connect to the Wi-Fi network here. So right now it's using, looks like a connectivity on Bluetooth to discover this, but it needs to go ahead and actually be able to connect to it and go ahead and then control it. So it takes a second for it to show up in the list, of course. It's standard issue iPhone stuff. So if it doesn't show up right away, there we go. Okay, head back to the Mevo app. And you'll see in a moment, it'll probably connect right to it. So I'll discover that connectivity. There we go. Mevo DCR, so I'd rename that while I was demoing the first part of this, that then lost recording. So now there is the camera. So you can see here in this bakery that I'm in right now. So it's a bit dark, and I wouldn't worry about that too much. That's just because of the fact that I'm facing all these gigantic windows. So literally, it is a wall of windows here all the way around. So that's going to kind of hose that up a bit. I would not worry about that one bit though. We'll see how that looks later on. Let's talk about settings and stuff. So I'm going to go down here at this bottom and kind of walk through things. On the left-hand side, we've got Camera Assistant. So this is finding people automatically. So what I'm going to do, if you put my phone here, oops, not turn it off though. Okay, so if I put my phone right here, you'll be able to see this and how this works. Okay. So the phone's there. Now watch as I get in the picture frame. And if I go over here, you should see a blue square. There we go, right on my face itself. It found me. So this way it can automatically identify speakers and then even do automatic cuts to them, as I'll show you in a minute. So there's that. On the microphone button here, I have a mixer between the Mevo and the iPhone. I can change the volume level of both of those. So next, then I've got the ability to change filters. So I can go ahead and do black and white. You can just see it change the scene there. A vivid that makes it pop a bit more, looks a little more contrasty too. Sepia, so again, in one touch you can make your video look horrible. Then I've got this play button here just opens up my library, so there's nothing in there right now. And then the settings option, there's lots of cool stuff in here. So up top, I've got the Mevo hotspot, so it's connected to this. There's 2 different Mevo modes or Wi-Fi modes. You'll see them right here. The hotspot means I'm going to take my phone and connect it to this. So that's great if you're out and about somewhere, especially if you're using like the Boost accessory, you do direct to LTE, and you want to go ahead and be able to connect straight to this. But if I'm in an environment like this, I'd rather connect to my existing Wi-Fi network right there. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. That way it uses my internet on the Wi-Fi network as opposed to my phone's data plan. So I would connect into Wi-Fi networks there, and so I got to turn that off and probably configure that differently. So live streaming options. Live stream is a service I can log in, or Facebook Live. Again, I can log into those and broadcast to those. In general, I can change my password. I've got the light ring and the speaker volume. So I can go ahead and change the light ring mode up here, and the brightness, as well as change the different colors it uses. Continue on down. User interface, I can show chat messages, presumably from Livestream or Facebook Live, probably showing up on the screen is my guess. I'll have to kind of play with that and see how that works exactly. The Mevo button. So this button up here right now, you can configure it for different actions. Right now I've got it for no action, which is the default, or you can configure it to record to the SD card automatically or to stream. Now I don't want to do this because I could see a case where like I just hit the button somehow accidentally and then don't realize it, and then all of a sudden you're streaming out like whatever's going on in your room. So that seems like it potentially could be a bad situation. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the way that works, but that seems like that's what they're showing. So That'd be bad. I turned off the auto churn, or turned on the auto churn off, which basically means that it turns off after 15 minutes of activity, because I always forget to turn off stuff afterwards. And then auto widen app disconnect. So this is pretty cool. This will basically mean that if my app disconnects from the camera, it'll go to the wide shot as opposed to being like stuck on a person's face. So that's useful if there's some sort of connectivity issue here. It's not, you know, stuck on one person's face when the person is talking. Go to library is the same go to library function as before. So we've talked general, advanced settings. So the Livestream Studio is their software suite that they have. I believe the software suite's free, but of course then you tie it into the Livestream platform and it costs you more money. So that's that, but you can go ahead and enable that there to act as a camera within a larger set of cameras that you have in the Livestream Studio. EV correction here. So this is obviously exposure correction. I can increase that or decrease that to add more light to the room. White balance. The one bummer here is I can't set a certain white balance value. So for example, downstairs in the cave, I know the exact white balance number that I use based on the lights down there. There's no outside light in that entire room. So I have the exact same balance value every time. It's great. Anti-flicker filters, the same filters as before. Exposure mode, auto adjust or fixed. So I can change those depending on, you know, what the circumstances of the light are. Oops. Sharpness, brightness, contrast, and saturation. So kind of standard exposure settings there. And then about gives me firmware version, MAC address, Ethernet address. That's useful if you have to go ahead and add something to be whitelisted on a router or whatnot. And I can change the name of the Mevo up here. So I changed it to Mevo DCR because that made sense. So if I was ready to record at this point, I go ahead and, you know, set the different angles that I wanted to or what I wanted to zoom in on like this, and then I can start my recording by hitting this button right there and it'll record. Now one thing to keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, is that it'll go ahead and record everything to 720p on the camera itself. So even if I, you know, were to do a big wide shot the entire time, it would still be just 720p after the fact, which is kind of a bummer. I really wish I had the option to customize that and just take, you know, limit me to say 1080p, for example, on something, and say I want only 1080p segments of my camera, and then go with that. One cool thing here you'll see as I go and move this around is that it actually pans up in that little preview window there. So it's not like an instantaneous cut. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so that's just kind of an overview of the Mevo camera. As I mentioned earlier, this is more like a kind of neat, techie, geeky thing for me than really anything else. It's something I wanted to play with and see if it made sense for other stuff I'm doing. I'll go ahead and I'll probably put a link down the bottom once I record something on this and put it up on the channel. I might do that tomorrow. I might do like a Friday chat or something like that. And so I'll take the recorded output file of this and toss it onto YouTube for folks that want to watch that after the fact. Or you can watch on probably Facebook Live when I do it for real. So with that, thanks for watching. Okie doke, let's get this all set up. Here we go, on, ready to go.